Today we'll learn the imperfect tense of two helping verbs or modals. First, a review of the last lesson. We learned that for most verbs being weak, this tense is formed like this. First, the stem of the verb of kaufen is kauf, so you use the stem of the verb, and to that you add the letters te in all forms, and then we're almost done. The ich form is done, but the du form adds st. The s form is done, the wir form adds an n, the ihr form adds a t, and the sie form adds an n, as we've learned. Ich kaufte, du kauftest, kaufte, wir kauften, ihr kauftet, und sie kauften. And we also learned that with verbs whose stems end in a t or d, we need an extra e for pronunciation's sake. For example, the verb warten. We learned that we have to add an extra e, that in yellow, as you see here, ich warte, and now add the extra te, so it's easy to pronounce. It becomes ich wartete, du wartetest, wartete, wir warteten, ihr wartetet, und sie warteten. And we also learned that both past tenses can mean, as in these two examples here, I bought the shirt. The top one could also translate as I have bought the shirt. And both could translate as I did buy the shirt. Either one. But the difference is that the one on the top is what people use in conversations the most. The one on the bottom is found mostly in written forms. Again, in novels, in stories, in newspaper articles, etc. That's why the one on the top is the one that you need to learn the most, and the one that you use the most conversationally, and the one we've been using all along until this last lesson. To show that you understand how to form this tense, let's learn a new verb and apply it. The verb is leben, to live. Repeat that verb, leben. Again, leben. Now you've learned another word which means to live. It's wohnen. But that's used to talk about living somewhere, residing somewhere, that kind of living. If I were to ask, like, where do you live? In a house, in an apartment, as we learned earlier. But if I wanted to ask when a person lived who's no longer alive, like when did Mozart live? When did Beethoven live or something? I would use the verb leben for when a person lived. So, show me you understand how to form the imperfect of this weak verb by adding the appropriate te endings. Give me the ich form. Ich lebte, good. The du form. Du lebtest. The s form. Right, lebte. The s form in this imperfect tense is always the same as the ich form. Let's continue. Give me the wir form. Lebten, right. The ihr form. Lebtet, and finally the sie form, meaning they or you formal. Lebten, right. The wir form and the sie forms are the same, just like they always are in all the other tenses we've had. Good. Also in the last lesson, we learned the imperfect tense of the verb haben. We learned that it's ich hatte, du hattest, hatte, wir hatten, ihr hattet, und sie hatten. And we learned that both of these can mean I had no money. Ich habe kein Geld gehabt, or ich hatte kein Geld. But in this case, the imperfect tense, the one at the bottom, is the preferred. With haben, the imperfect tense is the preferred past tense, especially conversationally, of course. So now, let's learn two more weak verbs that are almost always in the imperfect tense when referring to the past. One of them is können. First of all, let's review the present tense of können, which means to be able to or can. You learned it was ich kann, du kannst, kann, wir können, ihr könnt, und sie können. Interestingly enough, with this helping verb, the ich form and the s form are the same even in the present tense. But let's learn the imperfect tense now. How do you say I was able to? Well, we need the te endings, but here's something else that's going to happen. Notice the umlaut is gone. It's ich konnte. So the konnte will go all the way through the conjugation. It's just that we need the st for the du form, etc. So it's ich konnte. Repeat after me. Ich konnte. Du konntest. Konnte. Wir konnten. Ihr konntet. Sie konnten. This is the preferred past tense of können in spoken German. Let's practice it. You'll be changing a present tense sentence to a past tense one. I'll do the first one as a model, and in the process, we'll review musical instruments. Sie kann Harfe spielen. She can play the harp, or is able to play the harp. Remember, when we use a verb like können, the other verb is at the end of the sentence in its infinitive form, or at the end of the clause, which is why spielen, the infinitive form, is at the end. To say she was able to play the harp in the past tense, you would change it to simply sie konnte Harfe spielen. All that changes is that second word, the verb, from the present to the imperfect tense, the new past tense that we're learning. This should be easy for you. I'll read the present tense sentence and pause for you to change it to the past tense. Ready? Ich kann Klavier spielen. Make it I was able to play piano. Ich konnte Klavier spielen. Good. Du kannst Tamburin spielen. Make it you were able to play the tambourine. Du konntest Tamburin spielen. Kann Mundharmonika spielen. Make it he was able to play the harmonica. Konnte Mundharmonika spielen. Wir können Tuba spielen. Make it we were able to play the tuba. Wir konnten Tuba spielen. Ihr könnt Waldhorn spielen. Make it you were able to play the French horn. Ihr konntet Waldhorn spielen. Sie können Schlagzeug spielen. Make it they or perhaps you formal were able to play the drums. Sie konnten Schlagzeug spielen. Good. We've also learned this helping verb, the verb müssen, to have to or must, and the present tense was ich muss, du musst, muss, wir müssen, ihr müsst, und sie müssen. Let's learn the imperfect form of this one, which is most often used in the past tense. Repeat after me. Ich musste. Du musstest. Musste. Wir mussten. Ihr musstet. Sie mussten. Notice again that the umlaut over the U disappeared in this past tense, in this imperfect tense. And again, this is the preferred past tense version of müssen in spoken German. So let's practice it. You'll be changing again a present tense sentence to a past tense one. I'll do the first one as a model, and in the process, we'll review some camping terms. Muss auspacken. He has to or must unpack. Remember again, with müssen, just like können, the other verb is in its infinitive form at the end of the sentence or clause. Change it to he had to unpack. Well, it would simply be musste auspacken. Once again, you're just changing that second word. You're changing the verb to the imperfect tense, and then the rest of the sentence stays the same. I'll pause for you to respond, changing these sentences to the past tense. Ready? Ich muss das Zelt aufstellen. Make it I had to set up the tent. Ich musste das Zelt aufstellen. Du musst Feuer machen. Make it you had to make a fire. Du musstest Feuer machen. Sie muss die Angel einpacken. Change it to she had to pack the fishing rod. Sie musste die Angel einpacken. Wir müssen einen Fisch fangen. Make it we had to catch a fish. Wir mussten einen Fisch fangen. Ihr müsst die Fische braten. Make it you had to fry the fish. Ihr musstet die Fische braten. Sie müssen den Liegestuhl einpacken. Change to they or you formal had to pack the lawn chair. Sie mussten den Liegestuhl einpacken. Good job. Auf Wiedersehen.